Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you guys about a concept that I think a lot of us may or may not know about, but it's called the mirror effect. And most of you might understand this, and maybe some of you don't. But I want to show you my take, my way of looking at it, because maybe it'll trigger something in you to help you along your journey. What is the mirror effect? The mirror effect is perceived to most psychologists or even philosophers throughout time is that our inner world is reflecting back out to the outer world, and we actually sit and see reflections of ourselves from day to day to day to day. And this could not be more true. For example, you wake up all grumpy. You wake up all grumpy, you don't want to go to work, things are starting to mess up. You take your cup of coffee somehow and you're wearing that crisp white shirt and it spills all over you and you're like, oh, now I gotta go change my clothes. And then you decide to yourself, you're like, oh, see, I told you the day was crappy. I told you everything, like you're saying this to yourself. And then you stub your toe on the side of your bed and then you're in more pain. And then you're like, see, it's crappy. Then you get in your car to drive off to work and you start catching all of the red lights. Everything starts to go downhill and downhill and downhill, all because of the mood and the way and perception that you woke up into the world that day. That's just one example. Now, if you wake up that same morning and you hear the birds chirping and you realize, oh my gosh, it's a sunny day, and your view is a little different. You actually think, wow, what a great day. And you wake up all excited and you wake up happy. You'll notice that the flow that you actually move along is a lot more conducive, and every reflection you're seeing tends to be a lot brighter. And you'll notice that on your way to work, you may get those red lights still, but you'll notice that you're not stressed out about them because you're like, hey, I like what's playing on the radio. It's my favorite song. The way you view the same situations makes all the difference. And that's what the mirror effect is trying to express. Now, how this started, I'm going to take this a little deeper, okay? You know me, I'm all about the prophetics. I'm all about the theoretics. So here we go with the theoretics today. We attract basically everything that our inner being or who our truest self designates us to kind of face out in the regular world, okay? So what that means is that if you are associating something about your personal inner self, it'll reflect in all the persons that you see out there. Now, how does that take shape? What you truly feel inside. And I'm going to give you an example. This is how this whole video started, because I really had to think about how this mirror effect was shaping what this person said to me and why I was getting this. So, funny fact, all of you guys that have started watching me in these last months, if you haven't realized, I've kind of taken this channel a different direction. I've taken all my channels a different direction, and I've taken myself a different direction in these last 6 months. I started a business maybe about last year, but I was still working through a lot of my healing, and it was like once I got through the healing and I really put my thinking cap on, and I'm like, okay, Ashley, let's get this business going. Let's get this shaped up to actually use your gift in the way you want to, and use your gift for the best way you know how. And I've always been motioned by God and by Spirit to take on a bigger undertaking, but at the same time, this totally contradicts who I am on the inside. Reason being, because some of us are very comfortable in the more sassy, selfish, let's say sellout side of life. And I don't want to put anyone down, but we so know who these people are. We see them every day. And no offense, that's what sells these days. Saucy selloutness actually gets the job done. And then there's the other side of that spectrum, which is more of the pious pedestrian. Now, I'm not saying I'm totally the pious pedestrian, and I don't think I'm totally the sassy sellout. I'm not either of those spectrums, and you have to kind of decide where you are on that spectrum. And we all understand that in this day and age, there's so many things we can do to get to where we want to get to in any way, shape, or form, or any walk of life. So for example, like let's say if I wanted to be successful on a YouTube page or on Instagram or whatever the case may be, I could just pick a niche that everyone wants to hear about and just put forth all this stuff over and over and over again and get the hits and get the likes and get the prospects, right? But really and truly, if I'm being most authentic to who I am, I have to come and hope that what I put out here is to help my brothers and sisters grow mentally, emotionally mature, etc. How this started was on one of my pages. If you guys don't know, I have another page, which is Up High Healing, where I do more of my channelings, and I speak more to the fact of the higher self. This particular page, I kind of go all over the place with my prophetics and my theoretics, and I try to keep it in the spectrum of the esoteric and to do with God, always and most part. But I mean, again, God is a huge spectrum, right? So I go all over the place, and that's how this channel rolls. But ever since I started morphing in the sense of like taking my gifts or taking myself into a world of, out of the pain and healing, and let's talk about, teaching and helping and doing all of that, I noticed that all the negative Nellies of the world started coming out, and I noticed all the haters, like the online trolls, started coming out. and this is one of them, okay? But this is who got me to think about this topic, so I can't really blame them. This was a reflection, okay? So this person's saying, oh, how can you talk about abundance when you don't have 1 million followers and 1 million subscribes? And I thought to myself, I'm like, damn, that's a very valid question, and that's a very valid comment, because like I said, back to that spectrum, a lot of people in this day and age associate abundance with that, with the infamy, the fame, the fortune. You get what I'm saying? But then I thought to myself, I'm like, this person's getting me to think. This person's getting me to recognize what might be my hang up and what might be my reasoning for why I'm seeing them right now. Okay? Reason being is because, like I said, we all see reflections of ourselves through doesn't matter if it's good or bad, right? And I had to sit there and I said, what is this person projecting to me? What are they showing me about myself that I don't realize? Do I qualify as abundance? What does Ashley qualify as abundance? Here, if you have a piece of paper with you, you do the same. Figure it out, because this is going to be a cool synopsis. Image or idea of self is that abundance for me is having enough, like paying my rent, having whatever clothes I want, getting my hair done, getting my nails done, getting my toes done, going to get my eyebrows, going on nice retreats, trips, going to dinner when I want to, going out with my friends. And, I have enough money saved in the bank, and I can, live my life. And the thing is like, I run my own business. So as long as my business is successful enough that it's going to keep growing, I'm totally okay with that. That's abundance to me. Good friends, good family, good group of people, just like you guys on my page right now. So I thought about that and I was like, wow, I didn't mention infamy at all. I didn't mention popularity at all. I didn't mention any of those things. So I was like, wow, my form of abundance is being more quiet and more meek. Right? And this person who's coming at me is telling me that abundance is infamy and fame and fortune. So I was like, what is this trying to say to me? What is the mirror effect here? And personally, I said to myself, I was like, I don't like attention. And a lot of you might be like, oh yeah, Ashley, sure. Then why are you on these things? I mean, I like attention just like the next person. Like if I'm teaching, I don't see that as trying to get attention. I actually see it as something worthwhile and fruitful for others, right? But at the same time, I was like, in order for someone to even have 1 million followers and all that, you must love attention. And I don't. I was the type of person, I loved winning awards, but I didn't get like the accolades. I loved being, competitive, but I didn't need people fawning all over me. So I realized, I was like, I wanted a smaller following and I want to be more under the radar and incognito. And then I think what this projection was showing me was that maybe I'm not realizing what I am doing incorrect. Okay? And you might be saying, what is she talking about? This projection is some form of myself that I'm misconstruing. Just like the person who stubs their toe or looks at the day, in a darker and more sad fashion when they wake up in the morning. Maybe my view of who I am, being incognito and all of that, is what's incorrect. And I'll explain why. Let's go deeper down the hole. So, and I'm writing all of this beside me so you guys get what I'm saying. I like being meek. I like being quiet, right? And I like not having accountability, okay? Because when I think of 1 million followers and subscribers, what do I think of? Accountability. Like sometimes I see these people, I'm like, do they even have their own life anymore? Like, do they have to respond to 1 million emails? Don't they have to respond to a bunch of fans? Don't they have to respond to the rest of the world? That scares the shit out of me, okay? Because there's a selfish side of me. Remember that barometer, right? That I said I was on the pious side more. I've realized, no, I'm on the selfish side. Okay? Interesting, right? So when you start to sit there with your own self and you realize, if something like that scares me, right? What that hater or that troll was trying to show me through that deduction is that I'm actually selfish. Sit there with that, okay? Because realistically, the reason why I don't want to get to 1 million subscribers, the reason why I don't want to get that famous is because I don't want to be accountable. And that's a crazy reality, right? So that's what the mirror effect is. In essence, when everyone's like, oh, how do you do it? What does this mean? This is how it works, and that's how the shadow works as well. So sometimes the mirrored effect shows us what we don't want to see. So when this person, most people would go like, oh, who cares, it's just a hater. But you have to look at the good and the bad, because the bad is also showing you something about yourself that you're not perceiving. And I'm all about the what do I got to know about knowing. So I thought I would share this with you, and I'm going to show you another clip of what I mean about how us as the perceivers need tangibility. I need tangibility, you need tangibility, we all need tangibility, and I'll show you in the next clip what I mean. Much like you see me here, just talking to you presently on this, you see my mirror reflection right here. Mirror principle is similar in the sense that we as human beings, right, we project from our eyes, because it is our eyes as the viewer that actually perceives the matter, right, being the box, right? Now the thing is that this reflection exists, right? You put this piece of paper and it still exists at some level, at some angle. And we do understand that scientifically it's the light bouncing off of this object, right? To my eyes or to the camera as another viewer that actually sees this, correct? But the thing is that what I'm trying to say with the mirror effect when it comes to the subconscious and the conscious mind, we as human beings have to project an item, right? We as those that create the world around us have to project an item. Because truly, if our real mind could actually equate at the fact that there should be nothing on the other side of that mirror, regardless of the fact that there is an item, right? We have to realize that our brains don't understand the subconscious. What I'm trying to say is that the subconscious mind is this version over here, because the thing is, it's hidden behind the veil of the consciousness. Yet it still exists as a mirrored version of self, which is the real self, which is this side of the box. Now the thing is that the consciousness exists on the other side of this, even though it's blocked, because that's how our brains work. Realistically, yes, science proves that this is why we see it, but at the same time, what I'm trying to say about the mirrored effect, right, in our day-to-day, is that we need to project something, some type of form of reflection in order for it to make sense to ourselves as well. Technically, if it were to really truly make sense, right, then we would project a non-item on the other side of that. That's just food for thought. So this goes back to what I'm trying to say. Exactly. Didn't that trip you out? Didn't you see that for itself, that basically that box still stays behind? Yes, I understand. Scientifically, it's because my eye needs to perceive the light bouncing off of that box, right? That causes the camera and or myself as the perceivers to create the box on the other side. We on the subconscious need the projection to exist. If the projection doesn't exist, then it doesn't make sense. That's how the mirror effect works. That's how the mirror effect works in our everyday life. That's why we need the projections to exist in whatever way, shape, and form they surface to our face, meaning that in my case, I'm talking about this naysayer, right? Came to my face with this, and I was like, this is the projection that I need to see as the viewer. Because if I don't see this projection and actually take hold of what it means, then I am misconstruing the box. I am misconstruing the actual angle. I am misconstruing what the message of the projection is. And in this case, it was that I myself, I'm slightly on that selfish side because I don't want to become more famous, because I don't want to be accountable. And I noticed that all of these naysayers started coming out of the woodwork the more my channel started growing. Because if you've noticed, I've been on this channel for about 2 years now, and I kind of stayed in the 160, 170. And then the minute that I started trying to branch out and I started growing the channel a little more, I started getting the naysayers, because that's what I believe, right? In the subconscious, I want to be meek and quiet, incognito. But in reality, I get the naysayers because they're showing me that I'm growing. Because I, as the perceiver, feel that those naysayers or those persons are only created, right? They only come at you, they only get created when you become more popular, or you get more accountable, or you get more away from or encroached on your freedoms. Because before, when I was smaller, no one really came at me. I like that. You know what I mean? And the minute that I started growing the channel a little more, they were encroaching on my freedom to just be. So that's another projection that I had to see. And I'm like, what is it that I feel like is being taken away? My freedom. So it's so amazing that we as the people, as the viewers, can actually dissect what's truly going on. So, you know, in every way, shape, and form, you can wake up to the same situation in a crappy mood and watch the whole day unravel that way. In much the same way that you could watch projections there to teach you who you are on the internal, on the subconscious. And I hope this example that I'm showing you explains why. You see the same situation as I do, perhaps in a totally different way. And that's the difference between how you wake up in the morning. Same parameters, same situation, seen differently. That's the mirror effect. But I hope that put a spin on the regular version of the mirror effect. Have a good one, guys. Love you lots.